It's a good night here at the Come Up. Why? Because Jade Rogers is here. Oh, yes. Wow, wow, wow. Hello. Hello, people of the world and the Come Up universe. It's me, Nick, and this is the Come Up. Yeah. I love saying that. I really do. How are y'all doing? I'm doing all right. I don't have my purple light behind me because I didn't charge it. And that is a lesson in charging things. Make sure you charge your things. But you all know me. I'm usually my phone is dead by like 10 o'clock in the morning. So this is just on par for who I am. I thank you all so much for embracing me and accepting me for who I am. I also thank you all for jumping in and becoming patrons of the show. That is super exciting to me that some folks decided to join. I have their names. Very excited. Deanna Langaby, thank you. Mickey Pascal, you are too kind to me all the time. Tamsin Glaser, love you, friend. Colleen Kilcoyne and Patrick Kilcoyne. We got a double Kilcoyne situation going on. Daniel Christensen, friend from college. I appreciate you. And Kat Zacchaeus, very happy to have you on the list as well. Thank you to everyone that has supported me, that continues to support me, that is donating, that is buying me coffees, that is sending Venmos, Cash Apps. It all counts. It all matters. I thank you so much. This is a crazy time in the life of an artist. And so I'm very grateful to be able to have this platform to keep making things and having conversations, and that you clearly want to hear those conversations. So I'm going to keep bringing them to you. And that's going to keep happening tonight with my friend, Jade Rogers. Jade is brilliant. Jade is literally one of the smartest people that I know. So like Jade's one of those people that I'm like, oh, Jade's all knows everything. So I'm just going to bring Jade on. She's a historian. She is a self-proclaimed black nerd. That's because she's black and she is a nerd, and that counts. Here she is, Jade Rogers!
Hello.
Hi, friend.
Hey, Nick.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, I'm here and I am present. I'm happy that I'm here with you.
I'm happy to be here with you, too.
Jade, for the people in the land that don't know, what do you do? What's your title and what's your job?
I don't sleep. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm done. So I am an historian, educator. I am the founder and chief innovation officer of the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls. I'm an adjunct professor at one university and 2 colleges. And I'm a nerd.
What does the word nerd mean to you? Like, what's your nerddom?
Science fiction, fantasy is my jam. A Wrinkle in Time was my favorite childhood book, and I lived in that book and always felt outside. I related to that book so much, and it didn't really hit me until I became an adult. That's why I loved it and always read it. Even as an adult, I read it like every year. Yeah, so science fiction, fantasy. I am a low-key gamer. I play because I only play 2 games, and it's been the same 2 games for like 20 years or so.
What games are they? Shout them out.
So I am a simmer.
Yes.
I love The Sims. I was there from the beginning.
Did you ever play The Herbs?
No.
Okay, so The Sims has a game called Sims The Herbs, which I think was exclusively made for the GameCube. It featured the Black Eyed Peas, and you would instead of making like one sim or like multiple sims and like living lives, you would make one sim that you would like take from place to place on like a train system. And so you would have to like fit in with the crowds of that place. You have to like change your style to fit into those places. Probably like not a good message to send. But It was a very fun game, and the Black Eyed Peas were there, so that was exciting.
Okay, nice. Well, I played The Sims from the very beginning, and then I probably stopped, I don't know, early 2000s, and just recently picked it back up in the last year.
Mhm.
And I build houses. I
Oh, nice.
build custom houses for people, and I build families with long lineages that people can download, and they're all black and brown people.
That's
I
great.
may have one or two people that are not in there, but there's not enough black and brown when I look at the gallery. So I like to add to it.
Listen, that's the work.
And then I was a not a hardcore World of Warcraft player.
Gotcha.
I was the one that people would say, "Do you want to go in this dungeon?" Ooh, not today. I got a thing because so in the World of Warcraft, I liked fishing, I liked picking flowers, I liked killing some things, and sometimes I'd be like, "Help! I can't kill this thing." So, I didn't kill all the things.
Right.
But when it came years ago, because you had to have a guild years ago, and I do play. I haven't played classic in a while, and I keep thinking I'm gonna go back, but I haven't had time in the COVIDs.
Right.
Um, you had to have a guild to go into a dungeon, and because I was a druid, because I'm always a druid, um, I I could be a healer, or I could just stand in the back and throw things. And I really like just standing in the back and throwing things. And they tried to make me heal, and every time they did, we all died. Because healing is a lot of responsibility. You have to make sure that everybody lives. I was like,
Right.
this is too much stress for a game. So I don't do that.
Have to make sure
Picking
everybody lives. Listen,
Yeah.
that's what our government says too. They're like, that is too difficult. They're like, there is far too much going on. I don't know how you expect us to do that.
I hadn't watched the news in a while, and I just watched something about 20 minutes ago, and I shouldn't have.
Every time, it's just something. I have a
Yep.
news app on my phone because I'm a journalist, so I got to know what's going on in the world.
Yes, you are.
Um, and so there's just always an alert of something terrible, like like every second. I've honestly though started ignoring the ones that like if I see TR in the beginning, I just push it aside. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
What's
Um,
TR?
I mean, it could be Treasury, it could be Trump. I don't know. I'm not dealing with it.
Got it.
I don't. I just don't have the energy anymore. I'm like, of course, whatever it is, of course. Like I don't, I don't need any more examples. Of course.
No, no.
Oh god,
And it's all bad.
it's all bad.
No.
Nothing good.
No.
Um, that was my team name in trivia this past weekend with the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls. So,
Yes.
Jade, let's talk about the house a little bit. Where did the idea for this organization come from?
Um, it came from me wanting to get my friends all sitting at a table to play games or to have a conversation about Game of Thrones, and just one conversation and not 10.
That's fair.
Because, during an episode, I might have, you know, 9 or 10 people. Did you see this? What does this mean? What does this mean? It's like, I don't know. I'm watching. So I just tried to do something to get people together. And also, well, there was that. And then I would go places and I would see people playing board games at like the game shop. Shout out to the game shop, they're a
Mhm.
supporter of the house. Um, and they were all white.
Mhm.
And I said, well, I want to do that, but none of my friends do that or are interested in that, but I'm going to get them interested in that. And so it was really, being able to do some things that we don't normally do or are seen to normally do. So it was sort of I want to do that, and I want to do that with my friends, and I want to make that okay for other black and brown people to feel like you can do that too. That's
Mhm.
not just for them, that's for all of us. So, that, and then, I was talking about going to a Renaissance fair, and someone came up to me afterwards, and they were like, I've always wanted to go to a Renaissance fair, but I never thought that I knew anybody that would want to go. Can you go with me? And I was like, okay, so this is a thing. It's not
Yeah,
just me thinking that it's a thing, it's a thing. So that's where the house came from. I wanted to find ways to make space for black and brown people to do things that we are not normally seen to be doing.
I love it. And making space, like that's, the I keep saying everywhere. I'm like, make space. We got to make space. We got to make space. What does that phrase mean to you specifically?
Knocking a door down. I'm gonna bust in and we gonna have a seat. Yeah. And do it in making sure that when I have a seat, somebody else has room at my table.
Yeah, got to leave
Mhm.
room at the table
Yeah.
because if you don't, can't nobody get to the table.
And sometimes you have to bring your own table.
Mm,
Mm.
BYOT. Okay. I feel like more
Mhm.
often than not, we're bringing our own tables, and I mean, and so, I mean that's what the house is, right? Like you've created a table that creates
Yep.
a space for us to be us and play games and have conversations, and celebrate our blackness within our nerdness and know that that's okay.
It's okay. It is okay. Yeah. That was my goal. I'm living in the midst of it and I enjoy every second of it.
It's a blast. Jade does incredible work, and I'm very excited to join her in this work, as the public relations and communications strategist. Is that what we landed on? It's gonna be a blast.
Yes.
And I'm mostly helping with your event, which is AfroCon. Tell
Yeah.
us about AfroCon, Jade. What is AfroCon?
So AfroCon is a one-day festival of curated conversations, vendors, workshops, and panels, all talking about things that are pertinent to Black and Brown nerds. So everything from representation to Afrofuturism, workshops on board game design, workshops on comic creation and character creation and world building and story and writing and the artistic side of it. And we love comics. And where do we in Omaha, Nebraska find space to talk about Black comics? One day I was in DC and I went into a Black comic book shop. That I had gone to when I was living in the area and I hadn't been in a long time. And I walked in and there were four 20 something Black nerds just talking about a comic. And I was like, I want that. I
Yeah,
want that at home.
yeah.
So that's kind of what AfroCon is. It's a space to just be and talk about all of these things that we like and love. And not everybody is comfortable having those conversations outside of their community. So it's building that community. That's what AfroCon is really about. But it's a fun time. And last year was great. We were at Metro at the Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies building, which is a really state of the art, high tech kind of building.
Mhm.
And this year we're going to be virtual. So it will all be online via Hopin.
I love it. And here's just a little taste of it for the folks that are still curious.
quiet, be quiet. Feel the city in the silence. Feel the city in the silence. Hush, hush, be quiet, be quiet. Feel the city in the silence. Feel the city in the silence. Everything is connected. Everyone is connected. Everything is connected. Everyone is connected. Everything is affected. Everyone is affected. Everything is affected. Everyone is affected. Hush, hush, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Silence, 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 silence. Silencio, silencio, silencio.
Ooh,
Wow.
we love a black be black 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 event.
All of our friends were there, and all of our friends will be there this time, but it is a very black event.
Yeah, everyone's invited.
Everyone is invited. Yeah,
Yes. Um, I mean, it's called AfroCon, Jade. Like, I feel like.
it is. It is. It is.
um. So, as we have this conversation about like what black and brown folks are able to be in public, and like we don't play games, we don't do XYZ, we don't do theater, we don't like whatever the narrative is. Um, I admire you so much because your work as a historian, and you are teaching now every day except Friday. We learned before we started, because you've chosen through the house to teach more classes on top of what you're already teaching. Because but you out here like you're like when people talk about doing the work and like having intense conversations, like y'all, Jade is doing the work. Like Jade is in here making people cry. Like she got tears coming from all kinds of people's eyes, black, brown, white, everybody crying in her classes because she is dropping truths. So like, why is it so important to you that we get the harsh and real truth about black folks and where we come from?
Um, it's funny because, well, two things. I love history. I've always loved history. And I remember as a kid loving history, but really being drawn to um, s- stories in England and English Tudor and Renaissance and Italian Renaissance and all of those stories because I couldn't see myself anywhere. So I was always looking for, well, where are we? Where are the stories with the people that look like me? So I was trying to find those stories and realized when I was in college that the stories that I was looking for were in my house, and they told a richer story than the story that was in the books.
Mhm.
So then I started doing more and more research. My grandparents were born in 1900 and 1901, and they were my babysitters. So they were probably um, the most influential part of my research and my journey towards learning history because I remembered and recalled all the stories that they told me, and that was a gift. I was the 25th grandchild, and
Wow.
the only one that, well, there were a couple of other ones that were in the house, but I was in the house with them when, from the time that I was crawling until I was in the third or fourth grade. So I got a lot of stories. And that was truly a gift to be able to have those stories and say, well, wait a minute, that story isn't in this book. I need to figure out why it's not in this book and then whose other stories are missing. So that that's important because I know I was always looking for where am I in this story?
Mm-hmm.
And also because so I ran out, I don't go out much anymore, but I was in the car and there was an artist. I don't know who she is and I don't know what her background is, but her name is Mulatto.
um, I also do not know this American rapper that I've just found. Yes. Yeah, let's talk
And
about
and
that.
I was like, why is that her rap name? And I immediately thought, I wish I had gotten to her. I wish that she was in a class. I wish we would be able to have a conversation before she did that. Does she realize what that is? Does she know the history behind that? So that's the other part of it, is making sure that the people in the generation behind me and the generation after that have what I didn't have when I was in school, so that they go in and they're equipped to be able to navigate the world with their black and brown faces, knowing and armed with the stories that they know that may not end up in that book, but they know that that story should be in that book, and they will treat their education a little bit differently because of that.
Mm. Mm. That's a
So,
word. But now, so you were teaching. You said at the beginning, one university, two colleges,
yes.
and now the house school.
Yes.
You've opted to teach more classes.
Yep.
Um, why did you do that?
Why'd I do that to myself?
Yeah.
Because I'm old and I'm not going out there marching.
Mm,
I'm sorry. I'm just that's not my call. So in the middle of, George Floyd and dealing with the collective grief that we were going through, I said, well, now's the time. If not now, when? To make these classes and make this content available to people that don't necessarily need a degree or a credit, but want the information. And I was kicking around the idea and I found a platform and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this, and passed it around to a couple of people. And before I knew it, there were 19 people signed up for a class. And I was like, whoa,
wow.
okay. So this is a thing people want.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. So the House Community School is a series of 4-week classes. We meet once a week for about an hour. I usually leave space for about a half an hour after I lecture for people to decompress, breathe, talk through. And there are going to be a series of 7 classes that span from Africa to I don't know when. I'm not going to say present, but we're going to get as far as we can get in 7 sessions.
I love it. Because listen, she said, I'm not going to say present because I don't know if we got time. Because we're going to sit down and y'all about to
Yeah,
get this word
yeah,
from like in pieces, in the small chunks you
yeah,
need it in.
yeah, yeah,
I love it.
yeah. I think one whole session will be Harlem Renaissance. I think because it needs
Oh,
it
yeah.
needs a whole, So I don't know how far I'll get in 7, and I just picked 7 because 7 is my favorite number. It's the number of completion, so I figure there'll be 7 classes. So that's where we are.
I love it. See, I think
Yeah.
everyone's talking often about like what do we do? Like we're learning that every institution that we've ever known is probably not great and has a lot of reckoning that I think at some point folks are trying to figure out like what that even means at this point. Like what does it mean to for things to get better? What does it look like? I personally think that looks like us making our own stuff. I think it's
Mhm.
us finding ways to educate each other, to continue to have conversations, making our own art, making our own libraries, making
Mhm.
our own stuff.
Mhm.
And yes, which we've done before. And then, I mean, I don't have to explain the history to you. Um, you know better than most
Yeah.
that cycle continues. So, what do you think are like real life? This is a lofty question, Jade. Don't get mad at me. But like real life, like tangible, and you don't even know answers. None of us know the answers. I don't even know what the answer
Mhm.
is to this question. We're going to talk about it. But like, how do we create this space? How do we create the conducive space like for all folks I think Black folks need to lead it personally, but
Mm-hmm.
I want all of us to be able to come into this space and and learn and grow and be happy and have a system that is. We can't fix everything at once, but I don't know what does it look like. Jade, fix it all. What does it take?
Mm.
What's the first step? I mean, the
That
house
might
school is
be
a good
good.
step, but what's a big what else?
um, I don't know. I think after people have a better understanding of what this country really is. I've heard a lot of people say, this is not the American way. No, this is exactly
Textbook.
what this
I
country
mean, not
is.
textbook,
And it has
because
always
it's
been.
not in our textbooks for some reason.
Right.
But
No, it's not. It's not. It's like the America that you see is the America that has always been there. But there are things that have risen and you cannot ignore them any longer. Um, and people are being more vocal about what their experience is in this country, but it has always been this way. So I think the frustration for so many people is that so little has changed. Yes, there are great advances, and there are people that are very successful and doing great and wonderful things, but the masses of people are still struggling. And that's not just Black people, that's just people in this country. There are a lot of white people that are struggling in this country. So once we realize where we really are, and we are on not in the same book, because we don't necessarily have to be on the same page, but in the same book, then I think that the bigger conversations about what to do once we dismantle some things, because some things are going to be changed, and we're not going to go back to just because of the pandemic that we are in right now. It's affecting everything. But once we get past that, then what?
mm-hmm.
And I think that's a larger conversation that we as American people have to have with each other.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think so many folks are resistant to drastic change that has to come? It has to be sweeping. Um,
It
and I think that people on all sides, no matter what political side you stand on, no matter what color you
Mhm.
are, no matter what religion you practice, we like comfort. People like to be comfortable. People like to
Right,
know that
right.
things are where they're at, but real progress, and I think a lot of it has to do with the narrative that we get through like some the real story that media is trying to tell us is that we can't actually uprise against the government because it looks bad, and that makes you a bad people. But that's not the truth, but that's what we're told, and so we have to work through this system to make this work,
Mhm.
even though the system is literally doing you
Broken.
over multiple times in front of you.
Right.
um, and so it has to look ugly, and it's not going to be a pretty thing. And I think I mean I answer my own question. That's the resistance, but
Mhm.
I mean, but
Mhm.
if we look at the information that we're given and we're like, wait a minute, let's boil this down. These people broke things and they changed something, and we think that's bad. Why do we think that's bad? That logic
Right.
just feels flawed to me. So
Yeah.
how do we get out of that cycle and be like, listen, we just gotta break it. We just gotta do it.
I think I think it's just gonna take enough of us to keep the momentum going. Not everybody was gung ho about the American Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wasn't like, yes, down with the king. No, there were a lot of people like, no, don't do this. What about our team? What about our stuff? No, the king, they're going to kill us. Yeah, there were enough people that kept the momentum going and said, no, it's got to change. And then there was change. And then there was life, and people did new things, and a lot of things that they did were old things, which is part
Mm-hmm.
of the problem today.
So okay,
So,
I have. I think this is my last question. I don't know. Um, so I remember so clearly my freshman year of high school, one of our assignments was to to be like, to explain why we learn history.
Hmm.
And I think what that class boiled down to was like, we learn history so that history doesn't repeat itself.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, but um, if you look at history, that's all history be doing. So, so
A lot of that. It's a lot of that.
so do you think that tentative, like, we learn history so it doesn't repeat itself, like, what are your thoughts on that as an idea, I guess?
We definitely learn from. I think that that's the problem. I think that not enough knowledge of historical past is known, and especially in this country, so much of what was actual history was twisted and turned and then thrown away,
Mm-hmm.
and something else was put in its place. And that's all we learn. And we think that that's the real story, but that's not the real story. It's not the real story at all. So if we don't recognize what our real history is, then yeah, we're going down the same path. And that's why I read Octavia Butler's books, because she tried to tell us a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to tell us.
It's the
But
knowledge piece.
if you haven't read Octavia Butler, I would suggest Kindred. I always start with Kindred, and then Parable of the Sower. We are talking about Parable of the Sower in the book club, and we'll be talking about it again in another few weeks because we only got through maybe a couple chapters because it's kind of heavy and it's about right now. And
Ah,
it's supposed to be set in the future, but it's about right now.
wow. See, and that's the knowledge part. Like, people, everyone's skipping over the knowledge part and they're jumping to, we need to hire consultant to do anti-racism training, and it's like, great, that's awesome, but y'all just gonna sit in the room and then leave that room at the end of the day being like, wow, I feel so
Right,
anti-racist.
right. But what gets lost is, how did this thing start in the first place? And I see it in the faces of the students that I work with. When I'm talking about a concept and I'm talking about an origin of a concept that is so deep that we think it's intangible now, that we'll never know what that really is, but I'm like, no, it's this. And
Mhm.
they're like, oh, oh, oh. It's like, all I had to do was open that one door, and then you see the trajectory of all the choices that have been made from the people that didn't recognize that one thing. It's exhausting sometimes, but I think that that's what's necessary. It's
It's so
we
it has to be exhausting. I mean, I'm exhausted every day because in these conversations I'm like, what's happening? Like, how do you not know what's happening? But it has to be even more exhausting to, like, not only know what's happening and be with it and be like about the cause, but also like know all the history for like ever. And so you're looking at these people and you're like, you just you literally don't make sense.
mhm, mhm. And you know that old adage, if you knew better, you would do better.
Mhm.
It's the truth. If once you really know the truth, it's really hard to walk away from it, and it affects how you see so many things. I've had students that said, "I can't watch television anymore." I will never forget that. He was a young white man. He was like, "I can't watch television anymore." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I see it. I see the discrimination. I see the misrepresentation. I see this and this and this. I see it in everything that I'm looking at." And I'm like, "Great."
Now we're getting somewhere.
Now we're getting somewhere. Now, when you see something, you will say something. When you see somebody doing something or you see something that is wrong, you have to say something. And I think that that's the point that we have to get to, is where people, they know it. Yeah, you know it's wrong. Everybody knows it's wrong. Now why? And then what are you going to do about it?
Ah, Jade Rogers. See, this is why I told y'all she's one of the smartest people I know. I mean, if not the smartest person I know, because she's
I
an
don't know
actual
about
historian.
that.
She's so
You know
smart.
some smart people.
I do
You
know
know
a
some-
lot of very smart people. I mean, everyone that's been on the show is like so brilliant. I don't know
Yeah.
why any of them are my friends. Um, just gonna shout out one more time, AfroCon, October 10th, 2020 on Hopin, all virtual. Tickets on sale now. $10 for one ticket, 15 for your family, and 20 if you want to be kind and give us a donation. Because we love donations. What else does the house have going on? What other ongoing events or short term? What other things is the house doing?
Um, so there's the virtual game night, which is every other week, every other Saturday. So not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, there will be a virtual game night. Our book club is, I haven't set a date because we just met on Tuesday. It was really cool. We had a really good conversation. Um, we really only covered the first couple chapters of the book, and not everybody had even read the book, but that's okay because our book club is not you have to read the book and you have to finish it, have this immense dialogue. No, if you haven't even finished it, I mean, just come on because we're going to be talking about things that affect real life
Mm.
just during the conversation. So, Parable of the Sower is the book that we're reading now. We're going to read Children of Blood and Bone in November. And then December, we're going to read something light and airy. And I don't know what that is. I'm open to suggestions. I don't know what that is.
Jade's like, I only got a catalog of very sad books over here. So if anybody has anything happy going on, please send them.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. We have the Young History Detectives, which I have not started back yet because most of our young folks, between 10 and 16, they learn research skills and history concepts that deal with Black stories in an effort to teach, in an effort to build a board game that has different characters or different story that is inclusive of their now learned stories, um, in an effort to expand the representation of Black stories and images in board games. So the Young History Detectives is our youth program, and it's I'm not really sure what we're going to do because most of the kids are at home remote learning from 7 to 3,
Mm-hmm.
and another group of kids is actually going into the school, so I don't want them to zoom out. So we're just on a hold for that, but that's a program that we have that ran all summer and throughout the school year. And there was something else I was going to say. Oh my gosh, we have so many things.
Tuesdays.
Oh yes, Tuesdays.
Come on. Yeah, all great, all
No,
great,
I
all
was getting
great.
there and then I forgot it. I mean, we have a lot going on.
There is a lot going
COVID,
on.
we did not slow down. It just kind of ramped up.
I love that.
And if you're interested in the House Community School, there's information about that in the next classes on the website. And on Tuesdays, we talk about Lovecraft Country, and we do reviews of all the episodes. And Nick is a part of that now. We have a group of fun and intellectual people, but we still have a lot of fun and
So
dig
much fun.
deep into the story and the concepts and themes and everything about Lovecraft Country, which we love so much. And we're going to have to figure out what the next series we do is because I kind of like these.
Yeah, no,
We
they're
did
fun.
Yeah, we did have a podcast. Alex Bridgman, I'm waiting on him to come back if he's listening. Hello. Um,
Alex, you've been called out on the come up.
I mean, hello. But we do have a podcast, and I don't know when we're going to pick that back up because the COVIDs have been, a lot, and we're still doing a
Yes.
lot.
Yes.
But
Listen, y'all, the house does it all. The house has a program for everybody and your grandma. Please go to what's the website, Jade?
afroscapescurls.com.
Go there, see what's going on. Also go to afroconomaha.com to check that out and get some
Yes.
tickets.
Yes.
Jade Rogers, everyone. I love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, if you stick around, I'm going to wrap this thing up and then I'll come chat with you.
Okay.
Wow! You like Jade, didn't you? I told you you would like Jade. That's how it works. People like Jade. That's just what happens. Jade changes lives, and your life will be changed by Jade. Shout out to my sponsors. These are folks who are super important to me. Thank you so much for your contribution to this work. I am forever grateful to you and your trust that your dollars are going towards great things, because I like to think they are. And I'm happy that you think so too. So, friends, that's the episode. Wasn't it a good time? Waka taka, waka taka, waka taka. I love my theme song. This is usually when I tell you who's going to come on next, but I've forgotten to load up any of those images. So we're just going to leave it at that and say thank you so much for coming this week. And we will see you next week here on The Come Up as I chat to Michael Turrentine and Tyler Meredith about their podcasts. See you next week here on The Come Up. Ow, ow, ow. Bye.